Welcome to Channel 7. This is Isabel Mathers. Today we have a special news story in which Maximilien de Robespierre, a very important leader and supporter of the French Revolution, was seen walking down Hastings Street earlier today. Robespierre was taken in for questioning before being released. He has agreed to give us a little of his time here today. Please go to Channel 7 social media sites to leave comments. Now, Monsieur de Robespierre, would you mind giving us a little bit of insight into your upbringing?
I was born in Arras, which is in the north of France, on May the 6th, 1758. I was the eldest of 4 siblings, but sadly, my mother died when I was age 6. After this tragedy, my father, who was also a lawyer, left the family, and my siblings and I were raised by our maternal grandparents.
That sounds like a tough way to start life. You look like a very well-educated man. Where did you receive your education?
Why, merci. From 1765, I attended the College of Oratorians in Arras, and in 1769 I was awarded a scholarship to the Lycée Louis le Grand in Paris, which is a very prestigious college, and earned a law degree in 1781, aged 23.
I have heard that you were a very influential and well-known lawyer and politician. Can you tell us about your life before you became a very powerful politician?
I started to call for political change against the monarchy. I gave speeches on my views on the political situation of France and opposed the death penalty and slavery. My ideas on equality for all men, however, were called extreme by many, but I became popular at the meetings of the Jacobins, a political club where they nicknamed me the Incorruptible. At the age of 30, I was elected to the Estates General, also known as the National Assembly, a general assembly where I could put my opinions forward.
That sounds like you're making your way up to being a very well-respected man. How did this journey to leadership continue?
When my term in the Estates General ended, I stayed in Paris and became the president of the Jacobin Club. I continually wrote and spoke about the democratic reform and opposed the monarchy, and my ideas made me popular throughout the people. I defended those in society who needed a voice, and was eventually elected to participate in the writing of the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, the foundation of the French Constitution.
I know that soon after all this you became quite a leader to the French. May we hear about your period in power?
After the royal family was imprisoned in August 1792, a national convention was elected to govern the country as a democratic republic. I was elected to the convention, where I would successfully argue for the execution of the king in December of 1792. The king was put on trial in January 1793 and was executed on January the 21st. I stand by my words that I put forward when I argued for the execution of the king. The king must die so the country can live.
That sounds like a very morbid ending for King Louis. Can you tell us what happened after his execution?
The political faction in control of the government at that time was the Girondins, who were opposed many times by the Montagnards, my supporters, who knew what had to be done in order for a stable government. Eventually, the Girondins were overthrown, and 22 Girondin deputies were arrested and executed. The Montagnards were now left to deal with the crumbling country. The Committee of Public Safety was created to help oversee the government and protect the Republic from the crisis of war. Foreign war was occurring, as most of Europe was fighting against a revolutionary government, as was civil war, which threatened to bring down the government. I was elected to the committee in July 1793.
How did you and the Committee of Public Safety then minimize these threats of opposition to the revolution?
The committee and I responded by eliminating all threats against the revolution. Approximately 300,000 people that were suspected of opposing us and all we had done for our country were arrested, and around 17,000 executed, many by the guillotine. This time was known as the Reign of Terror, and I became a very dominant member of this movement.
Was any more opposition made against you?
I faced opposition from 2 political parties, the Humanities and the Indulgents. The Humanities were upset over wartime shortages and increased prices, and believed in an anti-Christian government. The committee and I solicited the threat, and in March 1794 they were trialed and executed. The Indulgents, on the other hand, thought that since the military crisis had ended, that the terror should relax. An old associate of mine, Georges Jacques Danton, was a prominent member of this group. However, they were also convicted and guillotined. My supporters and I wanted to create a republic of virtue, where citizens would lead honest and moral lives.
What was the response to your idea of a republic of virtue and continuation of the terror?
The response to the idea of a republic of virtue was met by disinterest of many of the Jacobins. In regards to the continuation of the terror, many of the public wanted a relaxation in the terror now that the military crisis had ended. I spoke at the convention about the need for another purge to reach my goals, but my opponents did not agree and took a stand against me.
What do you mean when you say, took a stand against me?
On July the 27th, 1794, the convention voted for my arrest. Myself and some of my allies were arrested and taken to prison. With some aid, I was able to escape and hid in the city hall of Paris. My allies and I were declared outlaws, and hearing this, I tried to end my life, but only wounded my jaw. Troops stormed the city hall, and I was arrested once again. On July 28th, I was executed by the guillotine in Paris, France.
Thank you for this, Monsieur. It has been a very enlightening and educating experience to meet and speak with you. Over to you, John.